All right. I always say this. How long ago did you record and send these in? About what, 6 weeks or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, like I say every time, probably a lot of things that I'm going to say today won't be necessary anymore if you play to me live today. But I can only go by what I'm hearing today. So forgive me if you don't play anything like this anymore. But anyway, we have to just go by what we've got. I'm sure you can still learn something from it. Okay, first is Finnian. Okay, so the Vivaldi Allegro was first. A confident start. The Allegro was played with rhythmical bow strokes. Do take care with the intonation. There were a few slips here and there, but keep listening to the piano so that you stay together. You have a tendency to rush quite a bit. And sometimes you even slow down, especially when it got technically a bit more difficult. You can keep working on the sound production on your E string. The country dance, this was an energetic performance with good bow control. There was clear direction. I think this piece suited you very well. Also here, take care of intonation. There were a few problematic places. I always have to talk about it. I'm also a string player, so unfortunately I have to tell you, it will never go away. You have to work on intonation for the rest of your life, every single time you play your instrument. It's just how it is for us. We don't play piano where we press the key and the note comes out. We have to create that note each and every time, but it does become easier with time. And all of you are in this in-between phase. You just have to push through and things will become easier in a year or two. Then lastly, the Zeitz concerto. You had a good starting tempo. I think here you can work on achieving a warmer tone on all your strings. Also here, keep listening to the piano. You sometimes take your own tempo. I think the good thing with you is that no matter what happens, you stick to your tempo and you never get lost. You cling to that tempo, and that helps you to always know where you are, which doesn't mean you're always together with the piano, but I think it's easy for the pianist to follow you because you are adamant. That's your tempo and you will not let go. That's quite a rare thing. You can work on a greater dynamic range and experiment with different colors in your sound. I think now is the time for that. Keep up the good and hard work. You got a merit. Then we have Kyra. The first piece was Air. Always ensure that your fingers are in the right place before you start. Even if, I know you didn't start on an open string, but even if you did, you need to make sure that your hand is already in the right place and that 100% when I put my fingers down, it's going to be spot on. You take the time for all the time you need to do that. You still need to work a bit on your intonation. All string players need to learn how to correct the pitch while we are playing. It's not an easy thing to do. So the best thing is to do it when you're practicing slowly, but it's something that we need to be able to do on the spot, decide whether I'm flat or sharp and fix it. Then the Liverpool, it was nice to hear a duet. Always keep in time and feel that pulse. The intonation was better here. Just one thing, when you play together with someone, you also have to breathe together when you start. Sometimes it felt a bit rushed, and then you went quite together. It's just something that you need to work on. How do we play together? Who shows, who breathes? But the best thing is if both people do it together and you look at each other as often as you can. Then Carmen, here was a good sense of rhythm. Also here, a few intonation spots, especially on your E string. You have a tendency to play flat. Some people have a tendency to play flat, others have a tendency to play sharp. And you just need to know what is yours, what is your tendency, and then you work on that. Keep up the hard work. You also got a merit. Then we have Savannah. Sorry, I just want to write your name on your report. Savannah, you don't breathe when you play. Everything is very fast and very lively, and you play with a lot of confidence, but you have to be careful not to rush. You know, also a very important thing for string players and pianists is to realize that we can actually play without ever breathing. Singers and wind players have no choice, they have to breathe. So there are things that they do naturally, like phrase, that sometimes we don't do as string players. It's something that you really need to remember. Even if you don't physically have to breathe in order to continue with your piece, you have to breathe because the music wants it. Yeah, I thought you had a good feeling for the bourrée character. It was quite a bit rushed. I think if you just focus on where is the end of the phrase, where does the next phrase begin, you will naturally breathe. And although no tempo change is indicated for the second bourrée, the key change already tells us that there's a character change. So you can just play slightly slower in the second bourrée. We all do that. If it changes from major to minor, it's just a natural thing. You just play slightly slower to emphasize the character, which is almost always a little bit more melancholic when it changes to a minor. The Wiener Sonatinen, the tempo was suitable for Allegro Brillante. This obviously suits you well because you like to play fast, but also doesn't mean that you have to rush through the phrases all the time. And I think now is the time for you to understand what is the classical style. It's always very elegant, and you need to, it's like at the end of a phrase, it's almost like taking a little bow. And then Saraband, another dance. We need to understand, sometimes in a minuet or a bourrée, we emphasize the first beat, but the saraband had its origin in Spain. And for whatever reason, the second beat is the one that is emphasized. And often in this piece, it's actually indicated by a down bow on the second beat in the bar. Where that happened, you did it very well. But it's something that I think you need to know. Where are the strong beats and the weaker beats? In the Placido part, I think you can pay a little bit more attention to dynamics and try to create an even sweeter sound. Yeah, in general, from now on, you can experiment with different musical styles. It will increase your musical knowledge and enhance your playing. You also got a merit. Okay, and then we have Misizwe. Yeah, what impressed me quite a bit was your intonation in the first piece. It was a very good tempo. Your bowing was flowing. Intonation good. Phrases were well shaped. But also, yeah, for you, take care not to rush. Breathe as if you would sing. Sometimes you do it naturally, but I think if you pay attention to that, you will create more awareness for yourself. Do it all the time. Dynamic contrasts were clear, and you have a really nice, good full sound on the G string. The nocturne. I always ask myself, do you all know what the titles of your pieces mean? What is a nocturne? A nocturne is a piece that is played in the night, in the quiet night. It says something about how you should play it and the atmosphere. I don't think you always understood the French musical terms. I just want to pause here and say, I know it's also very difficult if you record something and it's online that I can't always hear the difference. That is the one thing that's very hard to distinguish, but I'm going to say it anyway. For me, the sound in the beginning was a bit too direct. Piano, do means sweet, dolce in Italian, pianissimo. I think if you just think of, a dark and quiet night and you are there alone with your violin, you will immediately play differently, like a violinist in the moonlight. Your runs were well timed. Yeah, I think if you think of this piece a bit like your bow is like a paintbrush, then you will immediately play the piece very differently. And then we had the tarantella. This was a lively performance, rhythmical, and you also stuck to your speed and your rhythm, although you didn't always get the notes, which is it's very good if you can't do that. So never mind that I'm not getting all that, I'm staying in tempo. You kept moving throughout. In general, just keep working on your dynamics and style and keep up your good work. You got honors. And then Chloe, the first piece was Allegro. I have to say that in your recording, the sound was sometimes really, really problematic. Sometimes I could hardly hear you, and then suddenly it came back. You played with a flowing tempo. Bow control was good. Here, your intonation was good, but keep up the control of the intonation. You can work more on your phrasing. Then Arioso, you paid attention to dynamics, but we need much more contrast between piano and forte. I almost want to say that maybe the tempo was a little bit too fast or rushed, because it sometimes felt like you weren't quite sure if you're going to get in all the notes. It sounded like it was you were afraid that you're going to get squashed in. And then Perpetuum mobile, a lively tempo, but keep on listening to the piano and take care with the intonation. Like Prof. Eric, who has already passed on, used to say to us, that horrible, horrible word for all strings, intonation. In general, your bow control was good. And also well done. Keep up the hard work. You also got a merit. And then we have Christiaan. Christiaan, I'm speaking in English so that the others can understand. The jig was played with flowing tempo, with clear emphasis on the strong beats. Very, very important. So we understand the character of each different dance form. Intonation was good and phrases were well shaped. It was a musical and enjoyable performance. Well done. Everything was very well controlled and made a lot of musical sense. Just one thing, careful that you don't play the very last note of the piece louder than in the bar before. It must always be softer. Otherwise, it sort of bangs and pops out, and that's not how we want to end an elegant piece. In the Mozart, just something about the way you started. Look at your pianist and breathe together so that you start together. It's so important that you actually look at it, and both must show, not only one person. And you need to have the same idea of tempo. Here, the phrasing was good. There were a few small intonation slips, but there was rhythmical drive and good articulation. I think also you can start to read up a bit more about the classical style. Mozart must always be very fine and elegant, even if the music says something like forte. And here also, never play the last chord louder than in the bar before. It always has to be shaped like this, always decrescendo at the end, never bang out the last note. And then Gopak, here was robust playing, and this is what it was all about. You made the most of it. It was an energetic performance, effective and with great sense of character and style. Well done, and you got a diploma.